how did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy.
There are no misconceptions about it.
You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never come.
How do you expose one of the most powerful men in music and walk away untouched? Because here's a contradiction people can't stop staring at. The louder the accusations get, the quieter some of his closest connections become, and that silence is doing more damage than any headline ever could. For years, people asked how footage, testimonies, and documents tied to Diddy kept surfacing without the sources ever being named. Most journalists protect their sources at all costs. But according to one filmmaker at the center of this storm, secrecy wasn't just protection, it was strategy. He claimed everything was planned years in advance. And that's where it starts getting uncomfortable, because he wasn't talking about rumors. He was talking about leverage.
That's why people get on my nerves talking about who you should be seen with. I do homeless shelters. I walk in prison ministries. I deal with murderers. I deal with rapists and killers because they're our children, our sons, and our daughters.
Here we are.
All the people who prayed, all the people who texted, all the people who had prayer vigils, all the people who were concerned and said love and said mercy. Thank you. Just great. Not afraid to die. I want to hurt my kids. The people who love me, the church hates me.
He openly stated that if Diddy ever watched the documentary, he might actually admire it, not because it was flattering, but because it was thorough. He described Diddy as his favorite villain, a chilling phrase that stuck, because it suggested this wasn't personal, it was methodical. And then came the claim that raised eyebrows across the industry, that there were moves in place to make sure Diddy could never retaliate. According to this account, the first move allegedly involved reaching out to victims' legal teams and helping fund cases that had been buried for years, not proven in court, but reportedly, multiple attorneys were brought in quietly, while older cases resurfaced behind the scenes. And then there was a second move, the one people rarely talk about, the idea that potential post-release business deals were allegedly cut off before they even existed. Here's the part people miss, though. This wasn't about revenge. It was about control.
You can't even imagine being 18, 19 years of age. This person is killing it, and they're saying to you, come on in, let's talk. And so I did. I went in. We sat down at a very long dining room table in a room that she had. And for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. Pouring of heart, crying, him talking about my father. We talking about these scenarios. And I inwardly just knew I had finally found someone who could get it. Someone who understood. I'm sitting at this table, and for the first time talking to any man, I got tears coming down my face because somebody gets me. somebody understood what I was going through. Well, after sitting there and having this long discourse with him, I finally look at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go. I got to get this car back to my mother. She's going to kill me. So I said to Bishop, I got to get up. And I got up from the table. He got up from the table. He walked around toward the way I had to exit quicker than I got over there. And when I started to walk past him, he pulled me to himself, wrapped his arms around me and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died. I could not. I tell you, to this day, I can't remember how I got out of that place. But I remember driving home with all kinds of crazy thoughts and what in the world am I going to do now? And I finally get home, get in the house, get in the bed. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And I get to sleep and get up in the morning. And in the morning, I step into our bathroom and my home phone rings. My mother answers the phone and she says to me, Wayne, it's Elder Jakes. And I get on that phone. And when I get on that telephone, I can hear water. He is sitting in a bathtub. And in that thing, he says to me, without any hesitation, there's 3 things I need you to do. The first one is, when I come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be the only person I sleep with. The second one is, you can't sleep with anybody else because I don't want to give my wife anything. And thirdly, I will take care of you the rest of your life. I can't to this day remember how I got off that phone, but I do know I made a decision that I wasn't going to the service that night. And eventually I told my mother, I'm not going to go to the service tonight. She says, no. You know, we got a rule in this house. If we go, you go. I never told her what he had done. I went to church, and the most humiliating thing imaginable happened that night at church. Bishop Jakes, getting up to preach, speaks into that microphone. I'm going to ask young minister Youngblood to read for me. And after all of that drama of the last 24 hours, I had to read.
The third claim was the most explosive. He said he didn't just have evidence. He had backups. Decades of testimonies. Allegedly over a dozen people interviewed, all describing similar patterns of manipulation and fear. Again, these are allegations, not convictions. But when someone says this kind of material has been hidden for 20 years, it forces one question. Who else is in it? That's where an unexpected name enters the story. Dallas-based Bishop T.D. Jakes, a global religious figure suddenly appearing in conversations connected to Diddy's controversy. Reports began circulating that T.D. Jakes was preparing legal action against individuals accusing him of misconduct or inappropriate connections. The timing alone raised questions, because it happened as Diddy-related lawsuits were dominating headlines. And then things got messier. T.D. Jakes was named in legal filings connected to Diddy, including a lawsuit filed by producer Lil Rod. According to that lawsuit, which remains disputed, Diddy allegedly leaned on relationships with respected figures to help soften public perception during moments of crisis. T.D. Jakes has denied wrongdoing, but he has remained largely silent about claims regarding his alleged presence at Diddy's events.
Renowned Dallas pastor T.D. Jakes is named in a federal lawsuit against musician Sean Diddy Combs.
It's filed by a producer that worked with Combs. It discusses how the singer planned to leverage his relationship with the bishop to soften the impact on his public image of Casey Ventura's lawsuit. Ventura is a former girlfriend of Combs who filed her own lawsuit in November alleging abuse, violence, and sex trafficking.
Meanwhile, Combs' lawyer is criticizing the raids at 2 of the hip-hop mogul's homes in a federal sex trafficking investigation. He called them an unprecedented ambush. It comes as we're getting a new look inside Combs' L.A. house after the search by federal agents. Carter Evans has details about what the feds have uncovered so far.
Guns, cell phones, and other electronics are among the items taken from the homes of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, according to a source familiar with the search warrant performed by federal agents at his properties in Los Angeles and Miami. TMZ says this video shows the aftermath of the raid inside Combs' LA mansion. Drawers empty, documents scattered, and safes open and searched. Hours after the raid started, Combs was seen walking around the Miami Opa-locka airport, according to TMZ, which also obtained this video. Later, at the same airport, authorities arrested Combs' associate, Brendan Paul, and charged him with drug possession. In a civil suit filed against Combs by former music producer Rodney Jones, Paul was accused of being a drug and gun mule who allegedly aided Combs in sex trafficking. Yesterday, Diddy's lawyer called the law enforcement action nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. Could this federal investigation have come out of these private lawsuits?
Oh, absolutely. If it involves sex trafficking or drugs or weapons or other illegal behavior.
Lori Levinson is a former federal prosecutor.
They've decided this is worth a lot of resources across the country. So once they've done these searches, they have evidence to follow up on. And if they've got it, they'll move on it.
We still here, you're rocking with the best.
Even though Combs has not been publicly named as a target of the investigation, he says he's now prepared to fight to clear.
Publicly, T.D. Jakes has addressed criticism before, saying that his ministry work brings him into contact with everyone from the homeless to people convicted of killing, PE, and other violent crimes. That statement, taken on its own, sounds reasonable. But critics argue that this explanation doesn't fully address the specific allegations being discussed now, and that's where the pressure intensified. On November 25th, T.D. Jakes filed a defamation lawsuit against Pastor Dwayne Youngblood. Youngblood accused him of misconduct dating back to when he was 18 years old, claims that T.D. Jakes strongly denies. Youngblood alleges the incidents occurred during church-related interactions and says he has witnesses and phone records. These accusations are deeply disturbing, but it's critical to note they are allegations currently disputed in court.
At the one drink, 2 drinks. And if those girls was drinking out those bottles that he said Diddy laced, and he could show on camera, and he could show that some people had passed out or some people were acting a certain way after they had those drinks, he won his case on that one.
When you was around Diddy, was he doing drugs, like party drugs, like ecstasy and stuff like that?
Diddy wasn't the dude he is today when I was around him. You understand? He had just started, when I was about to leave, he had just started with cause he never smoked weed, he never smoked cigarettes, I never seen him do cocaine or none of that shit. You understand? He would have it for people to do it. You understand? It's certain of his girls like to do it, and he would make sure it would be there. But he wasn't the one that did it. Then he didn't start getting hooked on drugs until he got hooked on those painkillers. After he got hooked on those painkillers, he started drinking more, because he wouldn't even drink hard liquor. He was only drinking champagne, Don P or Cristal. He was not drinking hard liquor then.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. And he also claims that, Diddy, he was using T.D. Jakes to fix his image. You believe that?
Well, we saw that to be true anyway. That's what he was trying to do all that time. That's why T.D. Jakes was there, to try to fix his image.
Youngblood has publicly described an encounter where he says emotional vulnerability was allegedly used against him, followed by behavior he claims left him humiliated and powerless. He described moments that, according to him, changed his life permanently. T.D. Jakes denies these claims, and the legal process is ongoing, but the emotional weight of the story has resonated with many listeners. Here's where another layer gets added. Multiple individuals have claimed they saw T.D. Jakes at Diddy's high-profile gatherings, including the infamous all-white parties. One figure, often referred to as Gandalf, has alleged seeing him there and questioned why a religious leader would be present in those environments. These accounts are unproven, but they continue to circulate, and that's where speculation exploded.
How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and TD Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he'd have to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he'd have to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere. So now what he's doing is he's making, man, he making the Christians look real bad right about now.
And you've been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah. I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards. So I know what goes on at the parties. If, they probably got a little bit more freakier, as time went on, cause they got to the point whereas that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, where people used to go to, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other stuff. That's crazy.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he needs to see it for himself, man. Maybe he needs to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going to, man, it's hard to even talk about. Why would you find a religious man, when that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners? And why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties. It's hard, brother. Bro, you can't, I really don't know why, as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy while he got a party with him like that and be at his parties. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the.
At the same time, federal investigations into Diddy intensified. His homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by federal agents as part of an investigation reportedly involving *XT trafficking, drugs, and weapons. Authorities seized electronics, phones, and other materials. Diddy's legal team has called the raids an unprecedented ambush and insists the accusations are meritless, but former federal prosecutors say civil lawsuit can absolutely trigger deeper criminal investigations.
All his celebrity friends is going to speak or say nothing until they're either contacted or they know what they really got.
So you feel like they might be worried that they might be on tape at one of Diddy parties doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing?
I think that the celebrities that may be worried is because what Lil Rob said. Lil Rob said in his affidavit that Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, yo, bruh, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders. I mean, little, those micro, projectors or whatever like that, or video cameras. They found them in the house, bro. So by them having those things in the house, and people know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, woman on woman, man on man, all kind of crazy shit. Bruh. They just wondering who or when they're going to let this stuff.
Legal experts explain that once search warrants are executed, investigators follow whatever evidence they find. That's when rumors about recordings began spreading online. Claims that hidden cameras and audio devices were allegedly found inside Diddy's properties. None of this has been officially confirmed in detail, but it sparked fear among people believed to be in his inner circle. Here's the part that made a lot of people uneasy. Reports surfaced suggesting that a pastor appeared in footage recovered during those raids. Officials have not identified the individual, but some commentators and alleged victims speculated it could be T.D. Jakes. Again, this is rumor, not confirmed fact, but the possibility alone sent shockwaves through religious and entertainment communities alike.
Even these cases, and why didn't you believe in others that you were presented with?
Well, the thing with a sexual abuser is they follow a pattern. They fall to type, and you become very clear on what that pattern is, particularly a serial sexual abuser. And these cases were all identical in the facts, identical in the story. It was beginning, middle, conclusion.
They know each other?
Boom. None of them knew each other.
Did you have them meet?
No.
Did you have them coordinate stories?
No, no.
Do you think they had any contact with each other before they came to you?
Absolutely not.
And when you were talking to them, well, first, the ones that you didn't take, why not?
Stories didn't make sense. Stories didn't fit the pattern. Stories were not credible. I mean, this is my 30th year as a lawyer. I've tried over 100 cases. I can assess whether somebody's story is credible. And if I don't believe it, I'm not going to put my name on a pleading, sign it, and file it in court. I'm not doing that. And that's what I did with the 60 plus cases that I rejected.
And this is not really your area of expertise. If people look you up, celebrity lawsuits is not really where you make your bones. Why this?
Well, I was involved in the Weinstein litigation. Right. I was involved in the Paducah litigation. I was involved in the Hayden litigation. Why did I do this? I do this because it's important. I think it's important for people to be heard, have their chance to get the power back. Because sexual abuse, sexual assault is about one thing: taking power, humiliating, demeaning a person and a victim. It has nothing to do with sex. And so I think it's important. I think it's important to get the word out. I think it's important for men to feel, hey, look, I can come out and be heard just like a woman could.
And the defense that, look, they knew what they were getting into. These are regrets. They went there, they partied, and now they see a pocket.
No, I don't think so. My client
were they gay men?
One was bisexual. The other ones were not. And they were going there. The client who was bisexual worked for Diddy. Diddy owed him money for doing errands for him and being his step and fetch, for lack of a better word. And I think it was a power move. It was a clear power move because this guy had the nerve to come to him and say, you owe me money. And so Diddy said, come on to the Intercontinental Hotel. He gives him the drug, knocks him out, sodomizes him. And I won't use the term that my client used, but he said he tried to turn me into his B word. And I think it was a clear power move on each and every occasion. I think the ones that took place in the Park Hyatt, that wasn't partying. My client met him at a nightclub in the city here with a music producer. He didn't think he was getting into that. The man who was in the Hamptons, he thought he was going to a white party. Who wouldn't want to go to a white party? I would have gone to a white party back in the day. I wouldn't go now, but they went there innocently. And
sources close to T.D. Jakes claim the pressure has been intense. There are reports, unverified, that he nearly collapsed on stage during a service, overwhelmed by stress. Others say he's deeply concerned about being pulled further into legal fallout, and wants the situation kept quiet. Silence, in moments like this, can feel louder than denial. Meanwhile, discussions around Diddy's alleged behavior paint a consistent picture according to several legal experts. They argue that patterns of alleged abuse often revolve around power, control, and humiliation, not desire. One attorney with decades of experience said he rejected dozens of cases because the stories didn't fit a pattern, but accepted others because they were nearly identical, even though the accusers had never met.
They saw what he did to Cassie with the kicking, the punching. They saw what they did to Cassie. They know that nobody in America liked that. So now these people are represented by a brand, whether it's something about the music, clothing, movies. They're not going to come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them. And they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being oiled up in the whole 9 yards. They praying. So until the feds say, hey, yo, listen here. We got you on, hey, buddy, we got you on this tape. And girl looked like she was pretty young. We're not going to show it, but we need you to come and testify against Brother Love, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs. That's when they're going to start talking. And they're not going to be talking in his favor. When the feds come to them and show them what they got on tape, because if he had 250 tapes 250 cameras all over the house, somebody got caught stealing a cookie out the cookie jar. It could be your favorite pastor. It could be your favorite politician. But they didn't think they was being watched. And Brother Love was watching.
Yeah, I mean, TD Jakes, he hasn't even came out and said anything. And him and Diddy was real cool.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, man. And I know the people in the congregation over there is shaking in their boots because this man then led them allegedly probably led them to damnation because those people's hearts are going to be broken if that man is seen on those tapes doing anything. Because people always put their faith in the pastor instead of putting their faith in God. And what they need to do is understand that he's just a man. And he has a history. It's not looking too good for him.
So you feel like celebs are worried that they might be on tape?
Oh, they know. That's why they ain't speaking up or saying nothing. Yeah, I was at a Diddy party, but I know I ain't do nothing. When you don't know somebody's taping you, when you don't know that somebody is videoing you in some kind of form or fashion, you got that alcohol, you got the drugs in you, they're a little loose, bruh. They let down all their inhibitions. The music is pumping. He said it himself. He got it so hot in there that you got to take your clothes off. He said that.
That attorney emphasized that S*Zool abuse cases often follow the same structure: access, isolation, control, and silence. He also stated that credible stories don't need coordination to sound similar. They sound similar because the behavior itself is repetitive. This framework has caused some observers to take allegations surrounding Diddy and those allegedly close to him more seriously. Then there's the fear factor. Several commentators believe celebrities are staying silent not out of loyalty, but fear of what might be on tape. Allegations suggest Diddy recorded guests without their knowledge, potentially using that footage as leverage. None of this has been proven in court, but the idea alone explains why so few people have spoken in his defense. Some former associates have openly said they attended these parties and witnessed behavior that escalated over time. They claim things that were once hidden behind closed doors eventually became more public, as if the risk no longer mattered. Again, these are personal accounts, disputed and unverified, but when multiple people describe similar environments, it adds to the unease. Despite decades of celebrity connections, almost no one has stepped forward to defend Diddy publicly. That absence speaks volumes to critics. And T.D. Jakes, one seen alongside him in public, has yet to give a clear statement addressing the broader controversy. As lawsuits continue and investigations unfold, people are left with questions that don't have clean answers. Was T.D. Jakes complicit, manipulated, or simply too close to a powerful man whose empire is now under scrutiny? Were these associations innocent, or will evidence eventually redraw the story entirely? And if the tapes people fear actually exist, who else might be watching their past catch up with them?